On behalf of Queen's Bands, I'm so excited to welcome you to Queen's University Homecoming 2020. I'm Harriet, I'm this year's drum major, and I'm so fortunate to be here on campus, outside of Grant Hall, to deliver this message. We may not all be together this year, but fear not, because today's festivities are jam-packed with celebrations to connect us from around the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Queen's University Homecoming 2020.
When we look back on our lives, it's the moments we remember. The moment the sound of the bagpipes filled the air as you made your way to class. The moment you learned what it takes to win. The moment you found your people. The moment you found yourself. We are Queen's alumni. And we are united by the moments that shaped our lives. Get ready for another moment to remember.
Introducing your alumni co-hosts for Homecoming 2020. Meet award-winning broadcast journalist Dr. Sheila Rogers and President of the Queen's University Alumni Association, Mr. Rico Garcia.
Hello, everyone, and welcome home virtually, of course. Thank you for joining us this afternoon or morning as it is out here on the west coast of Canada. Maybe it's evening, depending on what part of the world you're calling home at the moment. And thank you also to our sponsor, Manulife, for helping to bring us all together today. I'm Sheila Rogers, ArtSci 77, and I'm delighted to be your co-host for the first ever Queen's Virtual Homecoming. And I'm especially thrilled to be joined by Rico Garcia, head of the QUAA, the Queen's University Alumni Association. Hello, Rico.
Hello, Sheila. It's great to be here with you. We're delighted that more than 1,000, I believe over 2,000 people registered for Homecoming. So we'll get the official numbers in a second, but we're delighted that you're all joining literally from all over the world. You know, our mission at the QUAA is to help build and maintain a strong Queens community. And I want to thank you all for making Queens a part of your life. But our mission for today is a little simpler. We want to bring Queens into your home, and we also want to bring you back home to Queens.
Rico, your role as head of the QUAA is a volunteer position. And when you're not dedicating time to Queens, you're a consultant with McKinsey and Company. So, Rico, thank you for all your great work and making sure that Queens alumni feel a lifelong connection with our university.
Thank you, Sheila. And I have to admit, I'm a big fan of yours. I only came to Canada just about 10 years ago, but I've been listening to your show, The Next Chapter. And I know my Canadian family, who were all Queen's alumni, live in Sydenham, just north of Kingston. They've been fans of yours for decades, right? And so thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thanks for not saying centuries. I appreciate that. And you and I are also CFRC alumni as well, which I'm really thrilled to know that. Rico, thanks so much. Today, we're celebrating the university that puts the home in homecoming. And to begin, I want to acknowledge that Queens was built on land that was originally the home of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee people. And while we're grateful for the opportunities that we have to live, study, and grow on these lands, we need to take a moment to acknowledge the opportunities that were denied to the people who were here before us. One thing about education, I'll quote Chairman Murray Sinclair from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, it got us into the situation we're in now, and it will get us out. And I'm really proud that Queens is working very hard on indigenization and making the Indigenous presence more visible. You may be wondering how a virtual homecoming is going to work. It's all unfolding for us, too. And if this were any other year, we would flock to Kingston and we'd book a hotel room, we'd stop by Grant Hall, get a table with friends at one of Kingston's great restaurants. And of course, that's not possible right now. And that's okay because we want everybody to stay safe. The pandemic has inspired a reimagined homecoming. It's a chance to think about what's most important to us, about what we really want to celebrate, and about what we really want to relive. There's no such thing as a single Queen's experience. The Queen's experience is different for each of us. But there were moments within that experience that brought us together, moments where we forged important relationships, moments where we learned important lifelong lessons. And although we all experience Queens differently, we all live different lives now, of course, it's those moments that bring us together as an alumni community. And that's what we're going to honor today. And in the course of celebrating those moments, we hope to create a few new moments that you can relive and celebrate too for years to come. Of course, this being 2020, the year that just keeps on giving, these moments are going to be virtual, but we're not letting that stop. It's a throwdown. We've got music, we have conversation, we have lots of interactive fun to keep you going for the next few hours.
And you know, Sheila, one of the great things about going all virtual is that we have Queen's alumni joining us from all over the world, as I was mentioning earlier. I'm looking at the chat here, and I think I already saw somebody from Helsinki, I believe Brett, Alvin from Singapore. So tell us where it is that you're joining from. I believe you can go onto your chat function just on the right-hand side of your screen next to our video, and you can type in. We'll be asking questions throughout this entire next few hours, and we want to make this as interactive as possible. So share your comments, ask questions. We want to hear from you. Throughout the day, we'll be also giving away some prizes. So if you participate in some of these chats, questions, who knows, maybe you'll win a little bit of Queen's swag. And by the way, if you haven't done this already, the left side of your screen, so I believe just over here, is your main navigation tool. So take a minute and check out the menu and all the cool things that you can do and see as part of this event. The live event button will always bring you back to this page. So that's where you'll be able to see Sheila, myself, and all the other guests we'll be having for the next 2.5 hours. Then at 4:15 p.m. Kingston time, so adjust your watches accordingly, we'll start to break off into the smaller faculty and group sessions. So check the full schedule in the faculty and alumni group sessions tab on the left side of your screen, just over here. And you can see the time and auditorium where your faculty or group will be gathering, along with links to join your respective sessions.
Rico, I love how you've created a new time zone in the world. Kingston time.
Kingston time.
That's awesome. We know the number one reason you've cleared your calendars for this event is to connect with your classmates. Using the Find Your Classmate tab, you can search a classmate, send them a message, and invite them to connect with you one-on-one by requesting a meeting time. And you can also interact with the Get Social tab on the homepage, which is a social feed where you can upload photos and posts and engage with your classmates. I hope you've all filled out your profile by following the instructions in the Create the Profile button on the left-hand side. Can you tell me where the left-hand side is again, Rico? Okay, good. I've never been good at that. And now it's sort of reversed on the screen, but that's great. Thank you. Follow Rico. Do not follow me when you get visual instructions. And if you have any trouble, you can always click on the Help Desk button.
Yeah, I normally get my left and right wrong, so it helps in this case when it's reversed. And I'm seeing some people on the chat. I'm seeing some people in London, Ontario. I saw Calgary. I saw Malaysia. So keep it coming, all the comments of where it is you're joining from. Here's a little overview of what you can expect over the next few hours. We're going to start with a warm welcome for the newest members of our alumni family. Then we'll pay tribute to the Tricolor Guard, Queen's alumni who are celebrating 50 years and more since graduation. And we'll welcome the newest members as well. This is a milestone moment in the lives of alumni. Usually we celebrate with an exclusive reception, but this year, for the first time ever, we've opened this event to the entire Queen's community. So you don't have to wait 50 years if you just graduated to join and be a part of this rare treat for all of us. So next, we're going to be having some awards to present, celebrating the best of our alumni family, and I'm sure everyone will recognize at least one of this year's recipients. And it wouldn't be homecoming without sports. we're going to revisit some of the greatest moments in Gael's history and catch up with a few legendary Gaels as well.
I had some memorable Queen's moments in a quieter place in the Agnes Etherington Arts Centre where I was a student volunteer. And we're going to have the opportunity to go behind the scenes at the Agnes to see what's new there. We might even have a chance to see a Rembrandt or two. And then we'll catch up with Ganushuni from the Office of Indigenous Initiatives. Some of the most exciting changes at Queen's right now involving creating a more visible Indigenous presence, which I alluded to earlier. And we'll have a chance to learn more about that. And lastly, to help us close out the event, Gord Sinclair, Art Sci 86, bass player for the Tragically Hip. Gord is going to play for us later this afternoon. And we have a few surprises for you along the way.
So let's get started with an official welcome. It is my honor to introduce someone who really needs no introduction. In July 2019, Patrick Dean returned to Queen's to become our 21st Principal and Vice Chancellor. It sure has been an interesting year. We'll talk about a year of taking over the university. So here it is, Principal Dean joining us live to officially welcome us home. Welcome, Principal Dean.
Well, thanks very much, Rico. And thank you, Sheila. Wonderful to be here with you. And
great to see you.
Great to see you too. Welcome to everyone to your homecoming at home. Warmest greetings. Thanks so much for joining us. While I miss seeing everybody in person, I'm of course really happy we were able to do this virtually. And I think, as Rico said, we have a very exciting lineup today that should do the desired thing, which is to help stoke your nostalgia for Queen's and to give you an opportunity to enjoy reconnecting with friends and sharing many fond memories of your time at Queen's together. After 7 months, I think for most of us, Zoom events like this are becoming part of the new normal of life in the COVID era. In fact, we've heard that phrase so much that I think it should be a contender for the Oxford English Dictionary's Word of the Year, which, as you all know, celebrates the word or the phrase that best captures the world's experience over the previous 12 months. Chancellor Leach recently said to me that he thought another candidate for word or phrase of the year should be, "I'm afraid you're on mute," as we've all heard that a great many times. We hear references to the new normal so commonly these days that you might think it's a unique coinage of the COVID-19 era. In fact, the phrase used to mean specifically a state to which a country, an economy, or a society settles after a crisis has quite a long history that goes back into the 1960s and embraces even the avian influenza epidemic of 2005, the market crash of 2008, and numerous disasters since then. To me, it's a very interesting phrase because it hints at a paradox. What we call normal presupposes continuity and predictability, whereas when we speak of a new normal, we seem to be acknowledging that some sort of discontinuity has occurred, and the very notion of predictability is in question. So if there can be a new normal, does the notion of normality have any meaning? So I'm an English prof, but don't be afraid. This isn't turning into an English or a philosophy lecture. It's not my desire to put you through any headache-inducing exercises this afternoon. This is meant to be an informal and celebratory event. I merely want to acknowledge that all of us, not just the students, the staff, and the faculty presently at work at Queen's, but every one of us are really living through a remarkable time. And to even be here today, celebrating, connecting with friends in front of our computer screens is itself remarkable and something to pause and think about. Events like this, like the virtual convocation we're planning for the current group of graduating students slightly later this fall, are in a way facsimiles of normality, and I hope reassuring because they look forward to other aspects of a normally predictable future. But once the pandemic is over, there will remain, I think, a complex lesson from COVID-19 that we certainly in the university would do well to remember and to build into our approach to the years ahead. rather than too quickly finding consolation in the embrace of a new normality, I think we need to recognize that normality itself is a profoundly fragile, temporary, and you might even say a spectral kind of thing. And furthermore, at the root of that fragility is the fact that we are all connected to each other and to the physical world in impossibly complex and significant ways that have become very much more clear because of our experience with COVID. The network of human relationships and interactions which brought the coronavirus to our community obviously has the potential radically to destabilize our world every second of every day. But at the same time, that network is what we live for. As I think we've all discovered during the lockdown and periods of isolation that have been forced upon us since March. Living in full recognition of that fact, rather than in a too hasty belief in the normal or comfort in the normal, however that comes to be understood, is what I hope we will all take away from our pandemic experience. The coronavirus was and continues to be, I think for all of us, our most influential teacher of the past year. And in that respect, I've been learning alongside our students, alongside all of you. And if you want to borrow the notes from my class, the lessons I've learned from COVID, I'll happily share them, but here they are in summary form. 3 lessons drawn from COVID. Take nothing for granted. What you think of as normal is always provisional and subject to change. Secondly, in science and the pursuit of knowledge, broadly construed, is our strength and our promise for survival. And thirdly, we will stand or fall according to our connectedness to each other and to the world. And for me, the most powerful lesson is that last one. And today at our homecoming, that is what we're celebrating most of all, our connection to one another and to the institution. Before I close, I want to thank those of you who've shared your thoughts and provided feedback to me on my report on the conversation that I released earlier this month. As I think many will recall, over this past year, I've been engaging the entire Queen's community, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and many other friends of the university in a conversation about the future of Queen's and where we see our biggest challenges and opportunities. So this report I've issued crystallizes what I heard and where I see us headed on reflection. And that document will become the foundation of a new strategy for the university, which I hope to present early in 2021. If you haven't had a chance to read the report, it's available on my website, and I'd be very grateful if you take the time to share your thoughts about it with me. So in closing, thank you again for being with us today. I hope you enjoy this novel homecoming experience. I wish you all good health and best wishes until we meet again in whatever form, in person or virtually. I will look forward to that next time. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Principal Dean. It is great to have you with us today and also leading the university during this very important time. You know, having read your report on the conversation and having listened to you just now talk about normality, new normal, one of the terms I've heard is getting to a better normal. And I know in your report, you talk about the role that the university can play in building a better world and the contribution to the world. So look forward to seeing that vision take place in a strategic plan and taking the university to new heights.
That's very good.
And if I may, Patrick, thank you again for your report. I thought it was frank, sometimes bracingly so, but I think it's going to set a wonderful course for the university. Congratulations.
Thanks very much, Sheila. Thank you.
Every year, the Queen's alumni community grows larger. On behalf of my QUAA colleagues, I want to welcome the class of 2020 into our alumni family. We all know how much work it takes to graduate, so congratulations and well done. You did it. I think one of my favorite phrases was, I believe Principal Wolf used to say, you worked hard to get into Queens, you worked even harder to get out of here. So truly is a memorable time to go through convocation. And unfortunately, the class of 2020 didn't get to experience convocation in person. So let's make this moment extra special for them. I'm asking all of you right now to open your virtual arms to our newest alumni. Click onto the live chat on the right side of your screen and offer them a warm welcome, your best wishes, and maybe some good advice to launch them into the future. And while you do that, here is a special group of alumni with an official welcome for the members of the class of 2020.
Hi, I'm Stacey Kelly, Arts 93. I'm sending a big congratulations and a very warm welcome to all of you in the class of 2020. Welcome to the Queen's University Alumni Association. Welcome to your extended family for life.
Hi, class of 2020. It's not such a bad thing to be graduating in a year that everyone will always remember. May you look back on this with 2020 vision and be proud of your accomplishments.
Hey, Science 2020. Congratulations and welcome to the long golden line. K.A.
Hi, class of 2020. I'm Scott Negginson, Arts 89, and also the chair of the Dean's Council for the Faculty of Arts and Science. I just wanted to welcome all of you to the Queen's community and remind you, don't go outside, you have your tan.
Welcome to the Alumni Association. Welcome to your first virtual homecoming. We see you, we value you, and you matter. Herzlich willkommen, Ani, bienvenue, welcome.
I know this is a really challenging year, certainly for all of us, and possibly even more so for our most recent graduates. I want you to know that since I graduated from Queen's, the Queen's Alumni Network and family have been there for me, both through my successes and through my challenges. I encourage you to stay connected to each other, to reach out into the Alumni Network to help you through this time. Again, my congratulations and very best wishes as we all navigate this together.
Hi everybody, my name is Ali Velshi and I am rooting for your success. Work hard, make sure you stay in touch with your friends, your family, and your instructors. And remember, if you need help, reach out because it's available. You've got this.
Who sent their best wishes to the class of 2020. As the Chancellor of the University of Victoria, I know that virtual grads are absolutely not the same, but it really helps to have heartfelt messages from alumni. So thank you so much. I know it will mean a lot to the grads. And I have a message from our videographer. He said, thank you to everyone who sent in contributions. There was so much good advice to choose from, and he wishes he could have included everyone. Now, I mentioned some surprises along the way today. This musical artist is a little after my time on campus, but how many of you remember going with friends to the Brass Pub on Sunday nights? Hands up. If the name Jay Smith doesn't ring a bell, Smitty Kingston probably will. For 22 years, Smitty Kingston had a solo gig every Sunday night at the Brass Pub, and today he's still writing, recording, going strong, performing great folk and country music. Please join me with a warm welcome for Smitty Kingston.
Hello, Queen's alumni. It is Jay Smith here, aka Smitty Kingston. You might remember me from the Brass Pub. I was there for over 20 years, and I'm pretty sure I probably entertained some of you, and hopefully enjoyed it. Very honored to be asked today to do this. So I know 2020 has been a bad year for everybody, musicians included very heavily. It hasn't been kind to the entertainment world, but thankfully, some of us have our own studios, or, I mean, geez, we can do anything anywhere, right? We got to make the best of what we can when we can. So this is the very first virtual homecoming, and I am honored to be a part of it. I hope I can play a few songs and entertain you guys and make your day a little bit brighter. This one here used to be a favorite of pretty much everybody. It was one of the biggest sing-along songs we had at the Brass. So sing along at home if you want. Get up, dance if you want. It's up to you. You make your own rules. Almost heaven, where
West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains and the Shenandoah River. Life is older, it's older than the trees, younger than the mountains, still blowing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place that I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her head. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on that sky. There's a misty taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eyes. Country roads take me home to the place that I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, I hear her voice in the morning, how she calls me. The radio reminds me of my home, it's far away. From driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, this is where you all come in. Well, country roads will take me home to the place that I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Country roads. My way into North Carolina, staring up the road, pray to God I see headlights. Well, I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers, and I'm hoping for a rally I can see my baby tonight. Sing along. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, in a way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Running from the cold up in New England, I was born to be a fiddler in an old-time string band. My baby plays the guitar, I pick the banjo now. That's not right. Oh, the North Country winters keep getting me down. Lost my money playing poker, I had to leave town, but I ain't a-turning back to living that old life no more. Terrible banjo player. Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, in a way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. had a nice long toque. He's headed west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. Well, I gotta get a move on before sun. My baby called my name and I know that she's the only one. If I die in a rally, at least I will die free. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, hey, mama, rock me. Oh, wagon wheel, man, that one's never gonna get old, I suppose. And since I haven't really played in 7 months, I don't mind playing it now. Hope you enjoyed that one. We're gonna take a quick break for a video for you guys to watch. So stay tuned, enjoy the next part, and I'll see you real soon.
Thank you, Smitty Kingston. That was amazing. I kept thinking when you were playing the West Virginia song initially, replacing West Virginia with Queen's University and replacing the country road with a 401, at least for those who typically make that drive from Toronto. And then Wagon Wheel taking us right back. I'm seeing in the comments here that Smitty was a name they haven't heard in quite a while, and it's taking them right back to their time at Queen's. So thank you for that. That was awesome. So, if you've ever been back to campus for homecoming, then you know that one of the most memorable moments of the weekend is a tribute to the Tricolor Guard. For those of you who may not be familiar with the tradition, Tricolor Guard members are Queen's alumni who graduated 50 years ago or more. They have a special place in the heart and soul of our community. Every year at homecoming, we pay tribute to Tricolor Guard alumni, sometimes with a parade around the football field. Of course, we can't be at Richardson Stadium this year, but we can still show our appreciation with some of that same Queen's spirit. So as you watch this photo montage of Queen's Tricolor Guard members, pretend you're in the bleachers, give them a virtual KI in the chat, and let's help recreate the magic of one of the true homecoming highlights. Those black and white photos and, you know, those games and sports and the snow and others. I know it's a special, probably bringing back memories to many. I'd like to offer a special thank you to our Tricolor Guard sponsor, TD Insurance, for helping make this segment possible. Did you recognize anyone you knew in the photos? If you did, then let us know in the chat. I'll be reading a little bit of some more comments as we go, so let us know. And while we're all justifiably proud of our history, and we have so much history to celebrate, there are people who feel excluded from the stories we tell and the photos we share. As you heard Principal Dean say earlier, Queen's is committed to a path of equity, diversity, inclusion, and indigeneity. And I, for one, am looking forward to the day when we can look at old photos and see an alumni population that better reflects the world we live in today. Queen's is growing and evolving, but the best parts of who we are will never change. And the Tricolor Guard will always be a cause for celebration. Tricolor Guard members are a vital part of the Queen's community because of their accomplishments, because of their philanthropy, and because they represent the very best of all of us. And today we welcome the newest members of the Guard, the class of 1970. So shout out to the class of 1970 and tell us in the chat if you are here today. An interesting milestone this year, the School of Rehabilitation Therapy is entering the Tricolor Guard for the first time. So congratulations. I hear the class of Rehab 70 is holding their virtual reunion later today as well. I hope you have a great time during that breakout group. Another beloved homecoming tradition, almost as beloved as a parade to the stadium, is the induction of the newest members of the Guard. We usually do this with a gala event in Grant Hall, and one of the highlights of that evening is when the Chancellor takes the newest inductees on a trip down memory lane. We may not be in Grant Hall now, but Chancellor Jim Leach is here with us and he is going to take us all back in time. Following Chancellor Leach are interviews with several notable Tricolor Guard members and students. I hope you enjoy.
Welcome, alumni, from whatever time zone you're in. My name is Jim Leach, and I have the honor and privilege to serve as the 14th Chancellor in the 177-year history of this great institution, Queen's University. Now, if this were any other year, we would be celebrating the newest inductees to the Tricolor Guard with a spectacular reception at Grant Hall. We would all be resplendent in black tie. Although we can't be at Grant Hall this weekend, I'm glad we can be together virtually. I'd like to start by rolling out the virtual red carpet and welcoming our newest members, the class of 1970. This year, for the first time, alumni from the School of Rehabilitation Therapy are joining the Tricolor Guard. And I'd like to extend an extra special welcome to all of you. We're thrilled to have you join us. As is our custom at this time of year, I'm now going to take you on a little trip down memory lane for the newest members of the Tricolor Guard, celebrating 50 years since graduation. That's the class of 1970. As you watch those incredible slideshow images of the Queen's campus, I'm sure you're already traveling back in your minds to your earliest days here. For most of you, that would have been 1966. And while the world has been through many changes since then, there are some eerie similarities to the world we live in today. Hurricanes and tropical storms were ravaging the coastlines. Civil rights demonstrators were taking to the streets, and war was raging in the Middle East. Yes, it sounds a lot like today's headlines, but there were other things going on in the world back then that were distinctly different. The US space program was dominating the news. The Vietnam War was in full swing. And in China, the Cultural Revolution was just getting underway. Huey Newton and Bobby Seale were introducing the world to the Black Panther Party. Timothy Leary was introducing the world to the League for Spiritual Discovery. And Toyota was introducing the world to a brand new word that nobody had ever heard before, Corolla. Canadians were celebrating the birth of Medicare and the Canada Pension Plan. And Torontonians and Montrealers were celebrating their brand new subway system. At the movies, we were lining up to see Fantastic Voyage and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? And of course, for those less concerning among us, The Man Called Flintstone and Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. When we stayed in to watch television, we tuned in to exciting new shows that boldly went where no one had gone before. Yes, I'm talking about Star Trek. But I'm also talking about the Newlywed Game and the Dating Game. And if we were lucky, we actually got to watch these shows in color. Everyone was reading Valley of the Dolls. Everyone played Twister. And a few of us might have been spreading rumors about Paul McCartney's death. Yes, there was a lot going on in the world in 1966, but you can be forgiven if you didn't notice it. After all, you had a lot going on in your world as well. Beginning your university education, living on your own for the first time, immersing yourselves in the Queen's community. And there was lots to keep you busy here, from the Levana Formal to the Tri-Service Ball any number of theatrical performances and productions. Maybe you took part in the Winter Carnival Snowball. And if you played touch football, you might have competed in the Toilet Bowl. And speaking of football, I'm sure you all remember celebrating as the Gaels won their first Vanier Cup in 1968. Queens made headlines during your first year when the Department of Civil Engineering hired Dr. Barrington Batchelor, the university's first Black professor. There was almost no fanfare later in that year when Alfred Bader donated his first painting to the university, a 16th century piece that had belonged to his grandfather. The School of Rehabilitation Therapy, the Department of Computing Science, the Department of Community Health and Epidemiology, and the Department of Film Studies, they all opened while you were here. And our medical school introduced its family medicine specialty also during your years at Queen's. And that's not all. The Queen's Glee Club rebranded itself as Queen's Music Theatre and launched with a production of The Boyfriend. The rector became an elected position, and Alan Broadbent became the first student rector. The Queen's Gazette, the official campus newspaper, and Golden Words, the legendary Engineering Society newspaper, both started while you were here. You may remember having to step around more than a few construction sites as you made your way around campus. Jeffrey Hall, Victoria Hall, Dupuy Hall, Earl Hall, Watson Hall, Harkness Hall, Humphrey Hall, Waldron Tower, the LaSalle Building, the St. Lawrence Building, and the Cataraqui Building. All of these integral parts of our campus were built while you were a student here. And in 1968, Queen's established its Faculty of Education, and a year later purchased its home on what is now the West Campus, kicking off the single biggest expansion in Queen's history. Your time at Queen's was a time of great transformation on our campus. And today, we're in the midst of another great transformation. If this had been a regular homecoming, you would have had a chance to watch the Gaels play in the new Richardson Stadium. You might have taken a tour of Mitchell Hall, our brand new Center for Innovation and Student Wellness, which opened last spring on the site of the old Phys Ed Center. And you might have visited the Agnes Etherington Art Center in person and seen more of Alfred Bader's legacy, including 4 original Rembrandts. This incredible transformation of our campus, one that rivals the one you experienced while you were here, could only have happened with the collective support of the Queen's alumni family, a family that you have been part of for 50 years. Queen's alumni have historically been our biggest supporters, our most generous philanthropists, and our most enduring friends. As Chancellor, I'm continually impressed by the level of affection that alumni demonstrate for Queen's, and I want to thank you all for your devotion and support. Times may change, and the world may change with them, but Queen's will always be the place where you grew up, where we grew up, the university that shaped our minds and our destinies, and the thread that binds us together. Welcome to the Tricolor Guard. I hope you'll have the opportunity to come back to campus in person next year. Kea, Kea, never surrender.
I went out with a guy in second year. He was in the Queen's band, he played the tuba. And we went out for quite a while. His name was Alan Armit, and you'd find him even mentioned in the back of the History of Queens that's come out recently. Anyway, I dumped him. because he was a drunken Queen's student, as you know at the time. 45 years later, he tracked me down through the Queen's Alumni Directory and gave me a cold call. And 3 months later, we were married. It was an amazing experience.
Well, one of the more bemusing ones, we were doing a study on one of the Olin breweries. It was a case study. Olin was Moosehead, and Moosehead was being shipped into the New England market. In order to have credibility, he decided that we should have this particular study done at it was done at a bar for credibility. So we all had our beers and we didn't analyze the Moosehead Brewery case study. So that was a bemusing, and it's obviously something I remember, and the other guys certainly remember it as well. Not often that you can take a class in a brewery.
I was thinking about what's known as Queen's spirit, and it certainly is a fact. And you try to think, well, why? I don't know whether Queen's grads, for instance, in terms of size of the university, are different than, say, those from Guelph, places of similar size. But there always has been a very nice affinity, a great loyalty, I think, by the alumni to the university. Certainly the university took time to care for the alumni and kept in touch through various mechanisms. So it was sort of a two-way street in that sense.
But I would say, stay with your group and stay connected, because it's so rich and rewarding to be a part of a great group of people. They are all across the country, and you have something really wonderful in common.
That's a lovely video, and I don't have a story to rival the 40 years separated and then later married story, but I did have a boyfriend at Queen's. He trained me at CFRC, and, we didn't get married or anything. We didn't really go too far, and then one day he walked around the corner at the CBC, and he was my boss. So I think an important lesson here is karma. You just never know. But what a terrific video, wonderful, wonderful memories. So now I get to announce our first prize winner of the day. In emails and on social media, we asked you to submit your Queen's family photos, and the rules are pretty vague. We just wanted to see your Queen's family spirit on film or on digital and then print it up, and we weren't disappointed. Alumni and students from around the world sent in their pictures of generations of Queen's family members, and we've got a few runners up here, and I'm just going to let you linger on that for a second, and I'm going to announce the winner now. I had nothing to do with choosing the winner. The winner is Andrea Summers. Andrea, 6 generations of Queen's women. My godmother went to Queen's, graduated in 1953. She said she majored in coffee shop. But anyway, I want to congratulate you. And wow, what a stunning family. 6 generations of Queen's women. Thank you all and congratulations. And we'll be in touch with your Queen's prize pack, Andrea, very soon. We talk a lot about family traditions, but not every family can trace their roots back multiple generations. Many of you are just starting to forge your own Queen's family traditions, and that is also absolutely worthy of a little celebration. If you're a first-generation Queen's alum, let us know in the chat. The first one we see is going to get a Queen's prize package. We're going to switch gears now and move on to such a central part of the Queen's experience and homecoming. Bring on the sports segment.
Thank you, Sheila. And before I jump into the sports, I love hearing all of these stories. I'm just browsing through the chat here and I see some funny comments. I see Kathleen mentioning that if anyone wants to track her down via the Alumni Network, she is single. So there are many other people having some comments. I think some people spotted folks from the Tricolor Guard as well from the videos. I believe from the sleigh, I saw a comment. And so lots of great stories here. Certainly looking forward to seeing more. Many of the moments that bring us together revolve around sports. So it shouldn't surprise you that our next segment is called United by Sport. You know, I moved to Canada from Monterrey, Mexico back in 2009 to attend Queen's University, and that was the year the Gaels won the Vanier Cup. I didn't get a chance to go to the Vanier Cup game itself, but I remember beating Western in the Yates Cup on Richardson Stadium. It was a cold day and just being surrounded by the fans. It was an amazing, amazing game. And, you know, what an amazing time to be there as a first-year student with your entire floor and your friends and watching the Gaels win the Vanier Cup that year. So how many of you have Vanier Cup memories? Tell us on the chat as well if you've attended any of the Vanier Cups. If you're a former Gael, just let us know. And if you're not familiar with the oil thigh, or you probably are, I recall my first visit to Richardson Stadium doing many oil thighs after every single touchdown. You probably know it already. The oil thigh is our Gaelic anthem. It's our fight song. It's the way we fire up the Gaels and celebrate their success on the field. And it's the way we celebrate our community and remember the good times together at alumni events around the world. That is certainly one of the things I miss the most of going to the in-person events, is locking in arm to arms and doing the candy cane and singing. So we asked many of you to send us your best oil thigh. And here's a sampling of some of the contributions we received, as well as some pretty memorable and historic kind of oil thighs as well from past events. So I hope you enjoy this video.
To wash away the stains, so the Gaels go in and win. Sing! Oil line and band, begin to band, begin to rock. Feel the oil line and band, begin to band, begin to rock. Oil line and band, begin to band, begin to rock. Day out, day out, day out. Sing! Our city's not invincible, they tremble at the news of Queen's College colors and are shaking in their shoes. Yet another victory, the chance we dare not lose. So Gaels go in and win. Oil thigh na Benrigan, Gubra. To the oil thigh na Benrigan, Gubra. Oil thigh na Benrigan, Gubra. Gea, Gea, Gea. Oil thigh na Benrigan, Gubra. Kea, Kea, Kea.
Happy homecoming.
Love seeing some of those clips. And wow, Cole, I think you had a tremendous rendition there of the oil thigh. I'm just going to read through some of the comments here in the chat because it's really quite something. I believe we have Daniel Wolf, actually, former principal Daniel Wolf, mentioning that he attended the Vanier Cup in 1978 versus UBC, and then the 2009 win, which was also Principal Wolf's first year as principal against Calgary. So that's awesome. I'm seeing also, I believe I read through Jennifer Sanderson. Yeah, so you taught in Monterrey, Mexico. That's a school that I went to growing up, and part of the reason why I ended up at Queen's was thanks to Queen's alumni who were teaching at our school. So great to have you here joining us. So keep sharing some of your stories here. Now I'm going to turn the stage over to the athletics department. They pulled together an amazing highlight reel for you and connected with some of our Queen's heroes from yesterday and today. I hope you enjoy it.
There's no question that growing up in a Queen's football household shaped the entire direction of my life. Some of my earliest memories are going to watch my dad coach the Gales in the early 70s, and he did that for a couple of years after he quit playing. And just being around him and his former teammates, hearing them regale us and themselves with stories of their prowess on the football field, and just seeing that rich tradition every time we went to visit Kingston was really impactful on a younger version of me. And so I joke all the time about how I had no choice but to go to Queen's, but it was an easy choice because I'd grown up with all the things that make Queen's such a special place.
It was really important for me that my children play a competitive sport. And the reason why is I really wanted them to learn to work well with other kids, learn how to deal with defeat. And it was particularly important with my daughter who plays competitive hockey. I wanted her to understand how to work with different coaches and when get in trouble for not making that pass or not holding that blue line, getting back on the next shift and performing, because that's real life. What I found is that some of the things that sports taught me were the most important things for being successful. I went into the workforce with a strong engine, so I just worked very, very hard. I knew that you had to be a good team player. You needed to be someone that people liked working with. And you needed to have resilience, and which was really important, particularly when I started in the field I started, where they just didn't have any women working in the field that I was in.
I was able to start a business in Kingston. I realized that I needed to have some help to do it the right way, so I invited two of my business partners who were sailing team members, who were my housemates, to join me in the business, and we've been going year by year by year, building properties together. What kept us really tight is because of the incredible trust we built up as teammates before we started building apartment buildings together. For me, what keeps us together is the history, the bond, the opportunity to be in the same place at the same time with very little experience and grow together. You know, every class of boats, like a brand new person, you got to try and learn how to be successful in that class. And we feel the same thing in our business. Every time we start a project, it's a brand new place, a brand new thing to try and figure out, to understand. But what's really cool though is that we're not unique. You know, there's so many people that we've met who have gone off in their various parts of their lives, different careers, different cities. And the bond's very strong because there's a common knowledge, a common base. You know, we can all do the oil thaw together. That's a powerful thing that helps people feel that they can trust people, that they can at least begin on a foot to have a standing that makes sense together. And what can I say? It's the best network in all of Canada by far, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
Oh my gosh, sport for me, sport has the power to move the world forward. I believed that pre-pandemic, and now I believe it even more. The amount of energy you see with the return to sport in certain areas where obviously you need to take massive precautions to be safe and healthy, but sport and movement make us all better. It's unifying. The energy associated with it as a participant or as a spectator is contagious, it's infectious. And then sport is also something that you learn a ton from. Discipline, things like punctuality, which sounds silly and trivial, but commitment, follow through, performing in high stress environments, in the moment decision making, being comfortable with change, and that change can manifest itself through injuries, your role changing, new coaches, new playbooks, new techniques to actually exceed and excel in your sport, new diet. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're in an environment that, I mean, the only constant used to be change. Now the only constant is accelerated change. And to all the athletes out there, I mean, you can hone everything you learn through sport to build resilience in a pandemic among a bunch of other global circumstances as well.
I never would have had the opportunities that I've had I not received the education and met the people that I did at Queen's. It's something that sort of a badge that you can say, you know, I was at Queen's, I was involved, and that means something to a Queen's grad. They know what it means. So as a new grad, stay involved, help the current students. You know, I think it's, you know, come back to the school, come back for homecoming, but come back other times as well and see if you can lend a hand. There's lots of outreach programs through the Alumni Association that will allow you to get involved. And as I said, Queen's has given me much more than I've ever given it, and I'm very, very grateful.
I loved seeing those videos, and I love specifically the advice around resilience and how sports can build that resilience, and it's highly applicable in today's environment. I'm just going through the chat here, and I love seeing some of the comments going back to the oil thaw. I believe Janet and Paul Chennard, you mentioned having done an oil thaw at your wedding. That is amazing. And then Raymond, I believe I saw that in 1978, you remember seeing the goalposts going down Yonge Street, so in Toronto, and making it probably back to Kingston for what I'm assuming was the grease bowl for all the engineers. So I know there's many people have some of those stories. If you've got a grease bowl story related to the Vanier Cup or anything like that, tell us in the chat. And then I love seeing some of the comments. I think Danica, as a first generation Queen's alum, and then also some of the other families that have come, lots of daughters. So great. There's nothing better than celebrating a winning tradition. And speaking of winners, it's time to announce the winner of the Oil Thigh Challenge. We had entries from around the world. I'm guessing some of you turned a few heads while you were recording. And the winner of the Oil Thigh Challenge today is James McDuffie. Let's have a look at that.
Hey, KI everybody, Queen's community and Queen's alumni. This is our contribution to Virtual Homecoming 2020. I'm Jamie McDuffie, Art Side 88.
I'm Brett McDuffie, Side 23.
And this is our version of Oil Thaw. thyme, a band rigging, the band rigging the rock. Oil thyme, a band rigging, the band rigging the rock. Brent. Happy homecoming.
Congratulations to Jamie McDuffie and his son as well. It's great to see that. Thank you for performing and sending it in. I'm going to bring Sheila back with me to take us on a tour of the Agnes Etherington Arts Center. Welcome back, Sheila.
Thank you very much, Rico. I really haven't left. I want you to know I've been riveted to this and riveted to the chat too. Isn't it great? I was just reading a note from Ruth Cross, who played clarinet in the marching band from 1967 to 1970. So I guess, Ruth, now you are a tricolor guard, and how much she enjoyed going to Toronto and London and Ottawa for games. And then there's someone whose name I didn't get, and I know it's way down now, but that song's going to be stuck in my head all day. And I guess if you're going to have an earworm on homecoming, it might as well be Oil Thigh. Wonderful comments in the chat. Keep them coming. It's just terrific. I studied art history at Queen's, and I used to volunteer at the Agnes Etherington Arts Center. I loved spending time inside the gallery and working with dedicated curators. I loved how quiet it was. And I've chosen a career where I'm not really very quiet. But anyway, it could have gone the other way. Did you know the Agnes is the only place in Canada where you can see 4 original Rembrandts in one museum? I still need to get there to see the latest edition, Head of an Old Man with Curly Hair. Let's start our focus on the Agnes with a quick look at what's new. And when we come back, I'll chat with Associate Curator Heather Parker.
My name is Sonny Kerr. I'm Curator of Contemporary Art at the Agnes Etherington Arts Center. And we're here today to look at some aspects of Shannon Boole's new exhibition, Modernism and Its Discontents, which is a show circulated by Musée d'Art Joliette in collaboration, in partnership with the Agnes Etherington Arts Center, and curated by Anne-Marie Saint-Jean-Aubre. And I wanted to start here in front of this glass box facade because this is really a show, a body of work by Shannon Boole that is really interested in how bodies are seen or not seen, how bodies are figured, excluded, excised, sublimated, otherwise figured in the designs of modern architects, celebrated designs of famous, in some cases, modern architects. So let's go in. So we're going to start by looking at this tapestry by Shannon Boole called Oud Uchaya, she made in 2018. And this is what's called a jacquard tapestry. It is essentially, it's made using a weaving machine that can take a digital input. So you could potentially make a tapestry out of any digital image using this machine. But importantly, Shannon Boole has also hand embroidered on the surface of the work. Additionally, there seem to be collaged elements. What we're looking at is what appears to be a blueprint for an architectural design. And indeed, this and this are cross-sections from a design by a famous French modernist architect, Le Corbusier. And it's part of a grand proposal that he made to the city of Algiers in North Africa, in Algeria, in the 1930s, called Plan Obis. And his proposal, you might call it megalomaniac, or at least grand, was to modernize the city of Algiers with a complete overhaul of the city.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Dickey, and I hold the Bader Chair in Northern Baroque Art here at Queen's. So I teach courses in art history, and every now and then I get the pleasure of curating an exhibition. I'm here to introduce you to the exhibition Rembrandt and Company, which is currently on view in the Bader Gallery at the Agnes. Here in the Bader Gallery at the Agnes Etherington Arts Center, in the exhibition called Rembrandt and Company. This brings together a variety of Dutch paintings that were collected over the course of half a century by Drs. Alfred and Isabel Bader. Thanks to them, the Agnes has the largest collection of Dutch paintings in all of Canada, probably the largest collection of European paintings of any university art gallery in the country. And Dr. Bader, over many years, was particularly fascinated by the art of the Netherlands, by the art of Rembrandt and Rembrandt's many followers, and also some of Rembrandt's rivals who painted in a very different style. So the idea with this exhibition was quite simple, to show the diversity and the richness of the holdings of this collection and of the way art was produced in Holland in the 17th century. Man with Arms Akimbo is the name that's been given to this painting because we don't know who he is. He's standing here with great arrogance and self-confidence with his hands on his hips. I suggest you try doing that yourself and see how it makes you feel. It's just the kind of gesture of someone who's truly confident in himself. He looks like he doesn't have a lot of time to waste. And in fact, Rembrandt must have painted this relatively quickly. You can see the broad brushwork dragged over the surface to create the texture of this wonderful brown coat, the highlights of impastoed white paint for the sleeve that peeks out underneath it. You can see the slight suggestion of a stubbly beard on the chin, done with simple, broad brushwork. Here, just a slight thinner stroke to capture the light on a strand of hair coming out from under his cap. The costume this man is wearing, once again, is not something a typical Dutchman would have worn. Is it fantasy dress, or is he perhaps a foreign merchant who's come to Amsterdam to take advantage of this wonderful network of global trade, and who's heard about Rembrandt and come to him for a portrait? Rembrandt, by this point in the 1650s, was internationally famous. And we know that visitors who came to the Netherlands, particularly to Amsterdam, would make it a point to visit his studio. There they might have found works for sale by Rembrandt, but also by some of his many students.
All right, that's a wonderful video. And I notice in the chat, Graham Matichuk says, I took 2 art history courses at Queen's and loved them. Some of my favorite courses. The art history profs are excellent. And I always loved the relationship between the art history department and the Agnes, of course. And joining me is Heather Parker, who's associate curator at the Agnes Etherington Arts Center. Heather, welcome. Great to see you.
Hi, Shayla. It's so great to be here. We're really pleased to have a chance to share these sneak peeks with alumni, and having the alumni visit us at homecoming is one of the highlights of our year. So it's great to be able to do it in a virtual format this year.
It's really great. How is the gallery coping right now during the pandemic?
We're doing well. We have our exhibitions still running. Some of them were delayed by 1 semester while we were closed, and some were extended. So the schedule is a little bit shifted from what we had initially planned, but everything's still going forward. We've had some people coming into the gallery. There are much stricter limits on the number of people we can have in the galleries, but we've been having good attendance, and we really enjoy having people come in person.
Heather, another thing I know you're doing is something called Art and Wellness, and I think particularly right now, supporting a healthy community through art is really great. How does the program work?
So there are a number of different wellness initiatives that we're grouping together in this program. And one faces to the community, and there's another one that faces to Queen's students. So the biggest program is called Art Hive, and it is run for the university student population, but also open to the community. And this is a weekly get together where students would normally come into our studios in person. It's a free program, and they get to make things and relax and work with someone, a facilitator who's trained as an art therapist, but also as an art educator. And so she will help to guide people through the sessions. They are still running online. It's a bit different, but it still is happening. And it's been such a pleasure to be able to run those programs. We also do other programs with classes. So for instance, we'll be running a wellness and sculpture class with surgical residents in November. And so there's a lot of class visits as well that have a wellness component to it.
I think it's really interesting that I know you're very interested in, and I just love saying this word because it has 8 syllables, interdisciplinarity.
Yes.
And the art and medicine program sounds really interesting. What do you think the medical students, or what's the desire for what they should be getting out of this program?
So we have a few different interdisciplinary programs like that. So there's this one that is surgery and sculpture, and then there's also our art of observation program for first-year medical students. And we ran a pilot project that was 4 sessions in the winter semester, and it included art history, both medical themed and not medical themed at all, and art making. And the big goal was to train medical students in visual analysis, so using art techniques to apply to diagnosis and those kinds of things. But we also train them in things like cultural sensitivity, empathy, considering other people's viewpoints, and taking a second look. And I really think that the art museum setting is a safe place for them to experiment with these ideas and try out new things. We're also doing a new interdisciplinary exhibition in the winter called Drift, Art and Dark Matter, and it's with the McDonald Institute. And so there's this work, again, with physics. And so we really love trying to find these collaborations and working with other faculties.
Heather, I know one of the exhibits you have right now is called Nocturne, and I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the painting behind me is by one of the artists that is in that group, Christopher Broadhurst. And we went to Queen's at the same time, and actually we would sit in the back row of, well, I will say what class it was. It was our Renaissance art history class. And Chris is the most amazing punster I've ever met. And that is really what kept me going through some of the art history classes. But what is the purpose of Nocturne?
So Nocturne, I love that painting, by the way. It could belong at the Agnes too. So Nocturne is one of the exhibitions that's on right now that you didn't see in the sneak peek tour. And it is one of our Canadian historical exhibitions, but it does have some more contemporary artists as well. And it focuses on Canadian perspectives of the night. So things like twilight and dawn, as well as the nighttime. And the curator, Marla Dobson, noticed that Nocturne paintings in Europe are often urban scenes, but in Canada, they're landscapes. And this is something people really haven't looked at yet. So it's a new way of exploring it and this concept by using our permanent collection, which is so vast, we can always find different ideas and different themes to pull out.
The Agnes is supported by some really exceptional philanthropy. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the $54 million donation from the Bader Philanthropies this year.
Yeah, we're so excited to announce this donation. We made this big announcement in the spring, and this is a $54 million donation from Bader Philanthropies to renovate the building. It will be a renovation that we do within the next 5 years, and a very extensive renovation to ensure that we continue offering world-class facilities and exhibition venues and public programming. So we're really, really excited about it. And having that kind of support from alumni has been really the backbone of our programs.
And the Bader Philanthropies, I know they've made a huge difference to the Agnes. How would you characterize it?
Well, we've got a Bader curator, we've got a Bader collection, we've got a Bader gallery, and we're on Bader Lane. So that's how I would characterize it. They are definitely our most significant donors, and we wouldn't be able to do any of the things that we're doing at the moment without their contributions. And we have really fantastic donors from other walks of life and other sort of alumni groups that have donated for other types of programs too. So there's so much work and so much volunteerism and contributions and donations and stuff that have all come in, and it's really a pleasure to be able to work with alumni like the Baders.
Let's not forget the Isabel. I know it's not part of the art gallery, but wow, what a theater. It's such a great performing space. Heather, I know there are plans for a new building in the next 5 years. How are things shaping up?
So we're at very early stage in terms of the building. We're doing consulting right now. We don't have an exact timeline. So 5 years is very approximate, but we will be closing to the public while we do the renovation. And we would love to be open in 5 years' time, but these things are very, very tentative scheduling at the moment.
Well, I wish you all the best in that. And thank you for speaking with me today. You actually have a job I would really have loved to have had if I hadn't run into CFRC and ended up in radio. Congratulations.
Thanks so much. It was great to be able to talk to everyone, and hopefully we see people either online or in person in the gallery in the weeks to come.
Here's hoping, Heather. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Great to speak with Heather Parker, Associate Curator at the Agnes Etherington Art Gallery. And now we're going to close out this segment with another interlude from, he's so popular. Read the chat as he's playing. Smitty Kingston, here he is again.
All right, then, let's get back at the music. Hopefully you're enjoying your day so far, and you're loving the music, because that's what I'm here for, is to try to give you back some normalcy into the life that we're living these days. I'm honored again to be part of this virtual homecoming. It's the first one ever, and just as much as all you Queen students have been a big part of my life, hopefully I've been a big part of yours. It wouldn't be a Kingston homecoming if I didn't play a Tragically Hip song. So, Bob Cajun? All right.
Left your house this morning about 9:15. It could have been the Willie Nelson, or it could have been wine. When I left your house this morning, it was a little after 9. It was in Bob Cajun when I saw the constellations reveal themselves one star at a time. Drove back to town this morning with the working on my mind. I thought of maybe quitting. I thought of leaving it behind. So I went back to bed this morning, and as I'm pulling down the blinds, yeah, the sky was dull and hypothetical, and falling one cloud at a time. But that night in Toronto, with those checkerboard floors, riding on horseback and keeping order restored, the man they couldn't hang, he stepped to the mic and sang. Well, those voices rang with that airy twang. Went back to your house this morning, just a little after 9. And in the middle of that riot, get you off my mind. So I was back at your house this morning. It was a little after 9. It was in Cajun when I saw the constellations reveal themselves one star at a time. Time I think it's gone too far. Looks like we wrecked it beyond fixing. I don't know what to do or how to fight for me and you. Say ain't the first time, but it's the worst time. If you corner me, I get nervous. Neither one of us deserve this. Somehow life don't turn out like it should. So I'm counting on my mind to remember better times when I gave you butterflies. All I did was make you smile. Do you believe in true love, in a God up above? Well, I do. Don't you ever think I'll give up on me and you. Oh, 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 oh. Well, countless times I've sat and cried in the dark like a child, 'cause that's who I am. You may not understand, but the way you pulled at my heartstrings, you became my everything, and that scared me, so I ran. If you corner me, I get nervous. Neither one of us deserve this, but somehow life don't turn out like it should. So I'm counting on my mind to remember better times when I gave you butterflies. All I did was make you smile. Do you believe in true love, in a God up above? Well, I do. Don't you ever think I'll give up on me and you. Oh, 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 oh. Corner me, I get nervous. Corner me, I get nervous. Corner me, I get nervous. Well, I'm counting on my mind to remember better times when I gave you butterflies. All I did was make you smile. Do you believe in true love, in a God up above? Well, I do. Yeah, I do. Well, I'm counting on my mind to remember better times when I gave you butterflies. All I did was make you smile. Do you believe in true love, in a God up above? Well, I do. Don't you ever think I'll give up on me and you. Oh, 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 oh. That's an original song of mine, Jay Smith, aka Smitty Kingston. That song is called Butterflies. You can download it if you want. Thanks for having me here at your virtual 2020 homecoming. I love you all in different ways. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much to Smitty Kingston. Butterflies was wonderful, and boy, so good to hear Bob Cajun. And as it's been noted in the chat, Gord Downey died 3 years ago today. So it's really, really nice to hear that song. And it's going to be great to see Gord Sinclair later on in our big event, our homecoming event, who of course was the bass player for the Tragically Hip, but now is what he calls a reluctant solo artist. So lots to look forward to and even more surprises. Before COVID-19, I love thinking about that time. That does seem like a long time ago. There was a gala event planned for April. The Alumni Association and the Alumni Branch Network organized a ceremony to honor 11 award winners, and obviously that didn't happen. So today we want to recognize some truly exceptional alumni and members of the Queen's community, amazing people who have done amazing things for Queens and for the world. Before we launch into this segment, in 2013, I got to meet my co-host today at the Alumni Awards, and Rico Garcia received Outstanding Student. And I remember we got to have a great conversation. We were feeling buoyant. Perhaps we were even feeling no pain. And I just think that's really, it's so cool that you're now the president of the QUAA. And I'm very honored to turn the proceedings over to you, Rico, to present the 2020 Alumni Awards.
Thank you, Sheila. I remember that night very well, and it was an honor to be receiving the award, but also to be alongside you as another award recipient that year for the QUAA Humanitarian Award. Before I get to our winners, I want to recognize some of the comments in the chat as well, because I'm loving this. And I also got a text message, which I hope my friend doesn't mind that I share. But when Smitty Kingston was playing Bob Cajun, as you mentioned, that was my friend Jen and Phil, who they met at Queen's' first dance during their wedding. And they're watching us today, not far from Bob Cajun Lake. They're on Stony Lake, so nearby there. And I'm also seeing a couple of other comments here. Olivia Gample, who was a resident of mine when I was a Don at Queen's, and is watching us from Boston. Welcome, Olivia. Also, David Salisbury. I'm not sure if Sheila, you saw the comment, but going back to CFRC and basically playing some of the games from very cold arenas or under the bleachers of games and connected cables and others. Fantastic. Andrew Boggs from saying hello to all the ASSAs and AMSers out there as well, former student government nerds like myself. So thank you for joining us. And we'll be, please keep sharing where you're watching from, some of your favorite stories from Queens. Now on to our award winners. The first one is the Alumni Achievement Award. It is the highest honor presented by the Queen's University Alumni Association. Each year, we present this award to someone who has demonstrated the values of Queen's University through significant lifetime contributions. I am pleased to welcome today to the show this year's recipient, Hugh Christie, Art Size 78 and Law 81. Hello, Hugh.
How are you?
Good. It's great to have you join us.
Well, it's great to be here. It's great to be virtually on the, in particular, on the lands of the keepers of the Eastern Door, the Mohawks of Tyendinaga, and to receive an honor whose list of past recipients includes those with last names Brandt and Miracle, and it's just an enormous honor.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, Hugh. And for those of you who are watching, Hugh is being recognized for his lifetime contributions to the legal profession. He has helped raise the profile of labor and employment law in Canada. Despite his busy role as a managing partner of Ogletree Deakins in Toronto, Hugh prioritizes mentoring young lawyers, giving back to the community, supporting Queens, and volunteering for organizations such as the George Hull Centre for Children and Families Foundation. Hugh is the co-chair of Queen's Centre for Law in the Contemporary Workplace. His leadership has played an instrumental role in its success in bringing together leading academics, policymakers, and lawyers from across the country to address pressing issues in workplace law. So thank you, Hugh, and congratulations. I guess my question I have for you is, how do you do it all, right? The balancing a busy career and giving back to the community in the many ways that you do.
Well, you gave me a heads up on that question, and so the answer becomes really easy. You think about your mentors. And my mentors, I was lucky enough to be involved like you in student government at Queen's. So my mentors, I count amongst them Gord Sinclair's dad, Duncan, who my eldest called Uncle Duncan when we were both back at Queen's a lot. I hope she won't blush in London, England, where I'm sure she's watching. And Ron Watts and Rolly Mitchener and people who made careers that were exemplary in every way. And then to look around and at one's peers. And though I'm not going to name any of them because their egos don't need any inflation, but the friends I've had since then serve as examples every single day.
That's great. And you mentioned some names of people who have residences in buildings, past principals and others. So mentorship goes a long way. I wanted to ask you, Hugh, as you think about today's world and living in a pandemic, what kind of advice would you give, especially to younger alumni, and what sort of drives you? How do you find purpose today?
Well, I think that cycles back to the Queen's experience, and that I remember Padre Laverty saying at convocation that from those to whom much is given, much is expected. Now's the time. Duty calls. Giddy up. These are exciting times for those with a sense of the Queen's spirit and civility and the value of intellect. We pass over those as if they're a given. There were pretty good examples around the world where none of those are accepted as the way things ought to be done. And we've all had the privilege, that's a laden term these days, but we have all had the privilege of a Queen's education, and it's time to giddy up and let's go.
Great. Thank you, Hugh, for sharing that. And we're all proud of your achievement, but there is one person who wanted to congratulate you, and they are joining us from the UK today. So I'd like to welcome, Hugh, your daughter, Heather. She's with us today.
Hi, Dad.
Hey.
Surprise. Congratulations. It's really good to see you. And I obviously wish we could be doing this in person. But I wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate you live on air on your fantastic achievement. I often find myself counting my lucky stars that I had the privilege, so there's that word again, of being your daughter. And, for a vast number of reasons, but I suppose most germane to this particular context is that I got front and center seats to see your professionalism and your particular brand of leadership growing up. Now I was trying to sort of define maybe kind of what those particular characteristics that I so admire in you were, and I sort of settled on three. First and foremost, obviously, your incredible work ethic. I think it goes without saying. It was alluded to before. You just go a mile a minute, and I think that it's incredibly impressive. Secondly, I think it's your innovative pragmatism or your pragmatic innovation. You're creative and you're sensible, and I think that's a combination that not many people have out there. And then finally, it's your sense of just how to treat people fairly, how to treat people respectfully, and then how to bring them all together in a community. And I think if I even achieve 50% of how good you are at those three qualities, I think I'd be pretty proud of myself. So now the only thing I noticed is that this is a Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, I know the wonderful people at Queen's would not be making any pokes at your age. And I know that I certainly would never be willing to do something like that either. But I think you've got a few tricks up your sleeve still before you're done. And I can't wait to see what those are. So Dad, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful that you're my dad, and I can't wait to give you a proper real live hug, but here's a virtual one until then.
Thank you, Heather.
That was remarkably unfair.
There you go. When Hugh asked me how this is going to go, we kept this as a hidden surprise, so I hope you enjoyed that, Hugh.
And of course, Heather's the person that called Duncan Sinclair Uncle Duncan to bring it full circle. Yeah.
There you go. So thank you both, and congratulations again.
Well, and wouldn't Marshall McLuhan smile? Surely the medium is the message in all of this virtual Queen's homecoming that spans the globe. Isn't that cool? Thank you. Thanks, Rico.
Now let's take a look at some other incredible alumni achievements. Unfortunately, we won't be presenting these awards live with the recipients. However, when I introduce each recipient, you'll see their name and photo. If you want to learn more about our amazing award winners, please check out the on-demand section for a more detailed look at each recipient. So our next award to present is the Alumni Humanitarian Award, in recognition of distinguished work or volunteer service at home or abroad, which has made a difference to the well-being of others. This year's recipient is Blaine Fable, Law 90. The Alumni Mentorship Award goes to someone who has made a significant and ongoing contribution through mentorship, either to an individual or group. The 2020 recipient is John Armitage, Science 71. Many contributions on rowing there, and congratulations, John. Next is the Alumni Award for Excellence in Teaching. The university, the Alumni Association, and the Queen's Senate present this award to a Queen's teacher who shows outstanding knowledge, teaching ability, and accessibility to students. The 2020 recipient is Holly Ogden, Education 02, a Master's of Education 08, and PhD 13. No shortage of degrees there from Queens. If you were ever taught by Holly, let us know in the chat. Next, the Marcia Lampman Branch Volunteer Award. Marcia was a diligent volunteer for the Sarnia branch for more than 12 years prior to her untimely death in 1996. The award in her name goes to the person who best exemplifies her outstanding dedication and service to a branch of the Queen's University Alumni Association. Congratulations to the 2020 recipient, Alan McGavin, Commerce 08, Law 12, someone who I get a chance to work with on the QUA board this year. So congratulations, Alan. Each year we present the Herbert J. Hamilton Volunteer Service Award, or the Herbie, as I like to call it, in recognition of volunteer service to the life and work of the QUAA, either through short-term impactful involvement or long-term commitment. The 2020 award recipient is Elke Bicken, Masters of Education 84. I know as a volunteer in Germany, bringing in lots of passion for Queens. The One to Watch award goes to a recent graduate from either an undergraduate or graduate program who is making significant contributions in their field, setting an example for future Queens alumni to follow. Congratulations to our 2020 recipient, Idris Ali, Commerce 13. The Outstanding Student Award recognizes a current Queen's student who has helped connect alumni and students. Their contributions can be made in the year of nomination or over several years. Congratulations to 2020 recipient, Rebecca McIver, ArtSci 12, PhD 20, someone who I had a chance to collaborate when she was volunteering with the QSAA, so congratulations. The Rising Star Volunteer Award is presented to a new alumni volunteer whose exemplary contribution and commitment sets an example for others. The 2020 recipient is Jacqueline Lewis, ArtSci 11. She's volunteered with the QUA in Calgary, Toronto, and is now happily on our board as well, helping us build that Queens community. Next is the Queens Student Alumni Association Volunteer Distinction Award, which recognizes outstanding volunteers of the QSAA. Jillian Baker, ArtSci 20, is a 2020 recipient. Congratulations, Jillian. And last, but certainly not least, is the Initiative of the Year Award, presented to recognize an initiative that most contributes to the mission of the QUAA. The 2020 recipient is the Queens Black Alumni Chapter, QBAC, for their 2018 Homecoming Launch event, bringing together many of our Black alumni. So congratulations to all of today's winners. We are extremely proud of all the work that you do for your communities, for Queens, and it is a pleasure I can't celebrate you all in person like I wish, but I hope this does it a little bit of justice. I think we're all ready for a break. I know certainly I am after going through all of those. So I'm going to bring back Sheila to introduce a short musical interlude. So welcome back, Sheila.
Hey, thanks, Rico. And wow, what an amazing list, an exceptional group of recipients. I actually need a break, not from you, and you did a terrific job. What I need a break from is Heather and Hugh, because I'm still very verklempt. So it's well-timed, I'll say that. To wrap up the awards segment and celebrate our winners, we have another special musical performance. And what would homecoming be without the Queen's bands? Here they are, direct from Grant Hall. Queen's bands, and well, way to go in masks and everything you had to do it right for the times that we're in right now. My heritage is Métis and Scottish, and I think I felt a pull on both sides watching that video, and well, actually watching them live. And you know, you either love a bagpipe or you don't. And I do. And congratulations to the team for getting that organized. It's fantastic. We're going to move now to a conversation I've been looking forward to all day, well, really for weeks, since I first knew I could speak with her. Since 2017, the Queen's Office of Indigenous Initiatives has been building community, advancing reconciliation and conciliation, and integrating Indigenous ways of knowing and being into the fabric of Queen's University. Joining me now to talk about this initiative is Associate Vice Principal, Indigenous Initiatives and Reconciliation, Ganuchuni Janice Hill. Say go, Jan.
Say go, Sheila. It's so good to be here with you today.
It's wonderful to see you. And I introduced you in one way. Would you introduce yourself as you would to a room, and it's a big room, of people you might not have met before?
Well, normally I introduce myself in my language, so I would say, Sego sewa gwego, wat kwanu horadu, kanu shuni yungets, waganyatu, dano ganyungeaga, tegaentenegedgidron. So that translates to, hello everyone, I welcome you all. My name is Ganushuni. I'm Turtle Clan from the Mohawk Nation, and I come from the community of Tyendinaga. And as you said, I'm the Associate Vice Principal, Indigenous Initiatives and Reconciliation here at Queen's.
Yeah, well, for your introduction as well, Jan. You have been around Queen's for a long time, haven't you?
I have. I've been involved with Queen's on and off for about 30 years.
And what would you describe as, and also education, right? You have been studying education and promoting education. What do you think is the power that education has to achieve conciliation and reconciliation?
Well, like you said earlier, Senator Sinclair probably said it best. Education is what got us here, and education is what's going to get us out. I've chosen the field of education for my profession and career all of my life because I believe that the way to make change in the world is through education.
Jan, what are some of the initiatives that Queen's is embarking upon?
There's a vast number of initiatives underway right now. Probably top of our priority list is the establishment of an Indigenous Research Center. It's one of the priorities of the Office of Indigenous Initiatives, but it was also identified as a recommendation from the last research strategic plan. So we're working collaboratively with the Office of the VP Research, as well as with other colleagues across the campus. And that's one of the big ones. We're right in the process right now of defining a vision, drafting a vision, not defining, but drafting a vision, which we will take out to consult with Indigenous community about. Right now, the office is undertaking a strategic planning process. So we're looking at the next 5-year window and seeing all the work that we might want to work to approach in the next 5 years. We've undertaken a curriculum audit and tagging project with the Office of the VP Teaching and Learning to help identify all of the Indigenous Studies courses, because as many people may not be aware, we have an Indigenous Studies major and medial, as well as our minor now, which was approved by Senate in the spring. That was one of our big, exciting projects.
Congratulations on that. The title of the Queen's University Task Force on the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Calls to Action, is in English, Extending the Rafters. What does extending the rafters actually mean?
Well, it draws on Haudenosaunee teachings. And in my culture, being Mohawk, I'm part of the Haudenosaunee, which is the Iroquois Confederacy in English. And what extending the rafters refers to is historically we lived in a longhouse, and a longhouse might have housed several families that were related in their matrilineal line. So I would have lived in a house with my mother, her mother, possibly her mother, my sisters, and our children, because that is how our kinship is determined, is through our matrilineal line. And so when the time would come that we needed to extend the longhouse, either our familial longhouse or symbolically, if we wanted to extend the league, the longhouse, to bring in new nations, we would have to add rafters to make the house longer. So it's about extending the rafters, is about creating a larger space to include everybody. So I always say extending the rafters is the Haudenosaunee model of inclusion.
It's a really beautiful way to think about it. And by the way, you better get along with your mother if you're going to be
exactly.
You've talked about how the Indigenous presence is gaining visibility at Queen's. Can you talk to us, for those of us who may not have been on campus for a while, how does the Indigenous presence show itself?
In most recent years, probably in the last 5 years, there's been a lot of work towards visibility. It's been one of my priorities right from the time I started working at Queen's, but it was a little slow going. We hired Dr. Dylan Robinson as the CRC in Indigenous Arts, and I think his work really highlighted the visibility portion, because he did a project, a soundings project, and there was another project which created huge pieces of artwork that are actually films or clings. There's one on the back, on the outside of Matt Corey, one on LaCane Harrison Hall, and another one soon to go on the back of the Agnes Etherington Art Center. And these pieces are all in conversation with each other, but they've done a lot towards increasing visibility at Queen's. Most recently, the principal agreed to flying the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabeg flags. So those flags are now flying outside of Richardson Hall, and that's a permanent installation. We, a few years ago, also erected a plinth, and I didn't know what those were until this happened, which acknowledges territory, and it's in a little courtyard across the street from Richardson Hall, and it talks about Indigenous presence at Queen's. It's a multi-page document that's quite huge, and it's got some graphics and some photos and some stories about significant Indigenous scholars and people who've contributed to the Queen's community. In addition, there's been a lot of artwork and posted around the university, and sculptures, and one of our most recent projects we're undertaking is actually to establish an outdoor gathering space outside of Matt Corey Hall, between Matt Corey and Tyndall Field. And that'll be a space for teaching, learning, and gathering. So we're very excited by that project. And it's we've already met with the architects once, and it's supposed to be ready for, our goal is to have it established by spring.
Wow.
Or no, summer, I guess. I'm pushing it a little too quick. But we also refurbished and restyled a classroom in Matt Corey. That's the welcome room at the southern end of Matt Corey. So that, along with the outdoor space, and hopefully someday across the hall, is another space that lends itself to possibly replicate an Indigenous or a Haudenosaunee longhouse. The outdoor space we're building will replicate a Anishinaabe roundhouse. So we're hoping that will be the hub of presence on the campus.
It's wonderful. What do you think is the greatest change that you've seen on the campus since you first stepped foot on it?
Oh my. Probably just seeing our presence more. I mean, I mentioned the flags at Richardson, but there are flags hanging at Four Directions, and Kinesiology recently hung flags. Smith is planning to hang flags, and there's other buildings in the university community that will hang flags. There's a very beautiful art installation in the law school that is wampum belts, a replication of wampum belts. So there's a lot more presence, but I think also one of the biggest things is the Indigenous Studies program itself. There's been a larger number of Indigenous studies courses available, and we're also seeing an increase in the number of Indigenous faculty. And that's a priority as well, because we know from research that Indigenous students will go where they see themselves represented. So they'll go where they see themselves visibly presented on campus, but also in the faculty who are present and teaching on campus, whether they're teaching in their discipline or not. Just the fact of having them there as role models is a good indicator that we will be able to attract more students also.
Jan, thank you for everything that you and your team are doing, and really creating some very exciting growth at Queen's University. Nyawa.
Mm-hmm. Yo. And now to you for this wonderful conversation today.
Oh, it's great to see you. If it takes Queen's homecoming to get to see you, I'll sign up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
You too. Mm-hmm. Before moving on, the elders from the Office of Indigenous Initiatives will be hosting a breakout Zoom session at 6 p.m., as Rico would call it, Kingston time this evening. And they'll share their stories and teachings with those who are able to join in. And you can find the link on the on-demand content on the left of your screen. I am very happy that I'm going to move to something that's very exciting. We've got a lot of, we still have a few surprises left, and I want to invite Rico back in to join me because we do have one more special guest on the agenda. Hi,
Thanks,
Rico.
Sheila. Thanks, Sheila. And before I introduce our next guest, I want to remind people to go to the left-hand side of your screen. So you can look at, for example, the Find a Classmate one-on-one networking, and you can click on it. You can see who else is logged in. You can find your classmates, message them. I know I already received a few messages there. So in addition to the chat and the live function, you can also find your classmates. I encourage you to do that.
That's great.
Now, for almost 40 years, the HIP had been a part of the fabric of Queens. Who can remember going to see the HIP, a gritty up-and-coming hometown band at the campus bars? Who can forget their final emotional farewell concert in Kingston, broadcast live across the country on CBC? I know I myself remember watching that from Toronto at one of the many viewing parties that CBC held. So tell us in the chat about your HIP experience. Almost everyone connects their time at Queen's with the HIP in some way or another. For me, as a volunteer at CFRC, I recall even going to AMS Assembly and making a pitch for increased funding for CFRC and talking about the Tragically Hip as a perfect example of how CFRC allowed them to connect, record some of their music, and much more. So everyone can connect to their time at Queen's with the HIP in some way or another. So I'm excited to introduce our very special guest today, Gord Sinclair of the Tragically Hip. Gord was a bassist for the HIP. He released his own solo album back in February, and he generously recorded a special performance for us yesterday. We will roll that segment now, and then Gord will be back here live in the studio to chat with Sheila and take some of your questions. So over to Gord.
Hey folks, I'm Gord Sinclair. James, you want to get rolling?
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Gotta get it going up and over. Gotta get it going up and over. Gotta get it going up and over tonight. I'm turning the tables inside. Should've known, and I'm slow when I'm sober. I'll try to throw it up over the side. Show him you're strong. I'll stay here despite knowing it's wrong. Gotta get it going up and over. Gotta get it going up and over. Win her over with a note that shows you the type that's coloring inside the lines. She supposes you'll grow, beat the row by her side. When bombs hit a comets collide, you know you're the one. You're feeling alright, knowing it's gone. Gotta get it going up and over. Gotta get it going up and over tonight. Gotta get it going up and over. Gotta get it going up and over tonight. Tonight. It's over tonight. It's over tonight.
Well, happy homecoming, folks. Thanks for joining us wherever you are. We sure miss you down here in Kingston, but all things considered, make a happy day of it. As you can see by the jacket, Arts 85. So those of you of my vintage may remember Elfies, and you may also remember this tune.
Bottle is dusted, but my engine is clean. If I'd a new blue suit with the money he could find, if his bride didn't like it, St. Peter wouldn't mind. Now I lie here so out of breath and over. I couldn't catch up, no, but maybe he could have waited. Well, the medicine man started seeing red. Think the snake just dreams up the poison in his head. To approval, addicted to the air. Let's see how you like it, or see you up there. Now I lie here so out of breath and over-opiated. Maybe I couldn't catch up, no, but maybe he could have waited.
Well, thanks, folks. It's one of those ones we were working on. We hung around campus a couple of years after we graduated. 3 years tomorrow, we lost a dear friend with Gord Downey. But I want you to go to your local record shop or even online if you have to. He's just released a record. His family's just released a record called Way Is Mine. It's a great gift and proof positive that the gift keeps on giving. So this one's for him. 1, 2, 3. Called Wonderful Way.
Won. This could have been one for you. There's all that you could have done, and all that we didn't do. We could have been number one, been better 1-on-1-2. With all that's in mind to come, I wish I could comfort you. Dream the impossible. It makes a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. You believe that it's up for full in a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way. A wonderful way. We've dabbled and babbled on, traveled and raveled too. For all you've done, and won what you didn't lose. There's really much more to come. Me and the stars there too. You've never said you were done. Is that what they're telling you? When you dream the impossible, makes a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. You believe that it's up for full in a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way. Happily philosophical in a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way. A wonderful way. A wonderful way. A wonderful way. Quite a life has kept me up at night. Acolytes burn the second sight satellite. You reunite, morning, noon, and night. Shine your light in a wonderful, wonderful, a wonderful way. A wonderful way. A wonderful way. A wonderful way. Wonderful way, a wonderful way, a wonderful way, a wonderful way.
I want to thank you for maintaining that sense of Queens community. We need that. We need to embrace it more so than ever. Someday this is going to be in the rearview mirror, but until that time, let's keep the sentiment of this song. Hey, James? Yes. Oh, this is James McKenty, by the way, folks. I neglected to introduce him. He's from Peterborough, home of Trent, but we won't hold that against him.
Yeah. I hang out in Kingston as much as possible.
There you go. 1, 2, 3.
Watch the band through a bunch of dance. for the unknown with something more familiar and quickly, something familiar. Courage, my word, it didn't come, it doesn't matter. Sleepwalk, so fast asleep in a motel that has the lay of home, and piss on all of your background, and piss on all your surroundings. Courage, my word, it didn't come, it doesn't matter. Courage, my word, it didn't come, it doesn't matter. Courage, my word, it didn't come, it doesn't matter. Courage, it couldn't come at a worse time. There's no simple explanation for anything important any of us do. You know the human tragedy consists in the necessity of living with the consequences under pressure, under pressure. Courage, my word, it didn't come, it doesn't matter. Courage, my word, it didn't come, it doesn't matter. Courage, my word, it didn't come, it doesn't matter. Courage, it couldn't come at a worse time. It couldn't come at a worse time. Courage, it couldn't come at a worse time. Courage, courage, it couldn't come at a worse time.
Thanks a lot, folks. Stay safe. God bless you.
What a perfect song for right now, Courage. And Gord Sinclair, that was generous and beautiful, and it's so great to welcome you to Homecoming. How are you doing?
I'm great, Sheila. Thanks very much. Nice to see you again.
Great to see you too. I haven't seen you since Fort Albany in 2012.
Great moon gathering. That was wonderful.
That's right. It was really great. So, you know, all these years, there was a soloist in you.
Well, no, reluctantly. I've always been a band guy and will always be a band guy. Unfortunately, with Gord's passing 3 years ago, it kind of put our activities completely on hold, and yet I still had that desire to get things out. And really it was inspired by Gord's example. He was always creative. He was always pushing us to record more. When we weren't recording, he was always recording, and his release yesterday is kind of proof positive of that. It's kind of a use it up, don't leave a thing for later kind of philosophy. So I just reluctantly dipped my toe into it last year.
It sounds like it's a great dip. Wonderful is a beautiful song. Wow. I mean, that replaces Oil-Fi as my earworm of the day. And I am grateful.
Thank you.
How have you been faring over the pandemic?
I guess like everybody, going through massive dislocation, certainly with family. Obviously, first priority is making sure everyone is content. We have kids spread all over the place, but it's not been easy, certainly for our business, and it's impossible for me not to worry about my fellow musicians and crew members and what the long-term effects of this is going to be for live performance. It's a very important part of our culture, live music, live theater, live comedy, live everything. It's what we do really well in Canada because we have to get used to traveling to do it. And it's hard to work a day job and travel this country. So Canadians actually get really good at it, whether it's music stuff. And with everything performance-wise on hold, it's something to worry about culturally for us as a nation. It's something we're going to have to look hard at.
You know, events like this are wonderful for how they bring people together.
Absolutely.
But nothing beats that live experience in an auditorium or a hall with people who you don't know, but you all have something in common, and it's that music.
Yes, absolutely. I've experienced it myself from both sides of the stage, where you're at a band show, sometimes it's a quarter full, but you look around the room and you realize, wow, we are united in this. There's something of this music that speaks to us and brings disparate people together. And you immediately make friends. You know, you're a fan of this band, then you're a friend of mine. And it's amazing to see. And that energy translates back up onto the stage, I must say. During that last tour, we felt so buoyed and so strengthened by the reaction and what we were getting back from the crowd. It just speaks to the power of music and the power of congregation as well.
For sure. It was a really great sort of national event. And just going back to Fort Albany for a moment, I loved how, you know, we were up there and you were playing in a gymnasium, which you hadn't done for a long, long time.
That's right.
And the Cree kids knew all your lyrics. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. It certainly wasn't our first gymnasium, and our years after graduation kind of got ready for us. But in so many ways, I mean, gosh, we're from a vintage where we were actually playing high school dances and things back in the late '80s and stuff. But that was a really special community dance up in Fort Albany. It was just it was more of an awakening for me personally than an educational experience. But the educational component was amazing. I met so many great people and learned so much in 3 short days. It was a trip that I know Gord and his kids would take every year up to Fort Albany to reconnect with the folks up there. And it's just wonderful. It's the one regret that I have from our years with the HIP. That was the farthest north that we ever got the opportunity to play. And I wish we had pushed harder to get up to the far, far north and to experience everything that this great country has to offer culturally.
I wish that for you. As a reluctant soloist, I think that would be really fantastic.
I'll put it on the map.
Yeah, for sure. I want to ask you why you chose Queens.
It's a difficult question to answer. My father was a professor at Queens and a longtime administrator, as was his father. So when I was in high school, it was kind of my last thought. I wanted to kick the dust of this town off my boots and get out as quickly as I can, like most young people do. And yet I decided to stay. In fact, I moved further away from my house, my parents' home, to stay at Jean Royce Hall when I went to university, just to experience that coming together with new people. And I don't regret my decision for a second. I loved every moment at Queens, beginning the first days of Frosh Week and like most of you on today, I met lifelong friends who are still near and dear to me, just because of my time spent at the university, and obviously where I wound up professionally and artistically. That started me on the path, staying close to my roots here in Kingston and yet expanding my horizons because of the university.
I went to Queen's because it was the dying wish of my late grandmother, and she had gone to Queen's. So did my grandfather, Wilfred Sutherland, and she was Dorothy Shannon. And I don't think you mess around with dying wishes, No. I really don't. And I'm so glad that she wished that for me. It was.
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I don't think my parents would have ever pushed me to go to Queen's, but they do. They bleed blue, garnet, and gold. There's no doubt about it. I don't think they were disappointed when I attended.
Your dad is Duncan Sinclair. He's already been referred to in our homecoming event by Heather Christie, Hugh Christie's daughter, as Uncan Duncan.
Yeah, that's him.
The very same. And I understand he's going to be in the Faculty of Medicine breakout at 4:15 with Dr. Jean Philpott, so you can watch for that.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. He's busier now in retirement than he ever was while he was at the faculty. So
that's awesome. I've been thinking a lot about graduation, and did you go to your convocation? I don't want to put you on the spot, but
I did, but I didn't convocate until a year later.
Okay, yeah.
And it was being in arts and science. It was kind of one of those assembly situations where 8 a.m. and then beyond and stuff like that. But I was there, and in fact, my dad took the opportunity to hood me. So which was really something, especially for my mom.
It's such a great event. And of course, right now, we can only have virtual convocations, and everybody's doing the best they can. But I wonder what advice you would give to someone who's graduating in the class of 2020, Gord.
Well, the best advice I could give you is take advantage of your time at Queen's, to keep your eyes open and to keep looking for that path in front of you, and to not to be afraid to follow it. It's really, I went to Queen's thinking I was going to be a major in science. I lasted about a week. I didn't understand the course outline in chemistry, so I figured that was a bad omen. So I switched to history without really a clear plan. And yet my education there allowed me to learn how to keep my eyes open and to take advantage of opportunities and meeting people and going to events and learning more and more about myself. And here we are. One doesn't jump into a career in the music business with the idea of having job security. Yet that's kind of what the five of us did. Three of us were at Queen's, Gord and Rob and I, and Paul and John were in town. And we just continued to trust our instincts, keep our eyes open, and follow the path that sometimes may not have made a lot of sense, but it was true to us. And I'd like to think we enjoyed just a wonderful career and time together. So that would be my advice.
Would you advise your kids to go to Queen's?
Absolutely. One of my oldest son has done 2 years at Queen's and left after a little bit, but I'm hoping that he goes back. Another son of mine graduated from McGill and another from Ryerson. But it's a great institution. I live very close to campus. It is different now. It's a little lonely riding my bike through there and not feeling that energy. But this will be in the rearview mirror sooner than later. And Kingston is a great beneficiary of not only the university, but the faculty, and especially the students. They bring a real amazing energy to this city. And we couldn't do it without them.
I've heard it said science will lead the way out, but the arts will get us through. And I really like that expression.
Yeah, and as do I. This has allowed all of us a lot of time to sit and reflect. And you just keep coming back to love is really the answer. You learn to love your family and project that love outwards and love our communities. And dire straits like this pandemic allow us to understand what community is about and what binds us together and what is superficial. And I do hope we learn from this experience and move forward together.
I have a few questions just to build some community here and take the microphone out of my hand, as it were, although I'll be asking them. And you may just have answered this question, Gord. How do you think music will carry humanity through the pandemic to the new world on the other side?
Well, again, there is no accounting for musical tastes. I personally, I have very, very broad tastes, but I do know in my heart, and we've all experienced, as you were describing, that sense of community, that need to congregate. And music is a big focus of that, whether it's in church or a football game or a rock show. Or when we're shopping in a mall, there's always music involved. It brings us together. And I think that connectivity between your senses and your emotions that music enables.
I think we might just have a frozen moment. Oh, good. There, you're back, I think. Yeah, okay. We've got Gord's frozen, although we know he isn't really frozen. But I love what he was saying about music and how music will bring us together through this. And I don't know. No, you're not back yet, Gord? We've got some questions coming in, but we also have some great reactions on chat. A lot of people remember Alfie's very, very well. And that's a place that really meant a lot to a lot of people. A comment from Jennifer Beasley: nothing can really replace live music, whether performing it or as a fan attending a show. And Jennifer says, hope we'll see you person to person, Gord, performing in person, which would be really, really great. Okay, we don't know if we're going to be able to get Gord back, which is too bad, but I'm so happy that we were able to speak with him today, and especially today on the 3rd anniversary of the death of his great friend Gord Downey, and someone we all loved very, very much. So Gord, I don't know if you can hear me, but I want to say thank you on behalf of Rico and all the crew here. We really, really enjoyed having you with us. So thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks to the questions in chat. I wish we would have been able to get to more of them, but yeah, we couldn't. So this is what happens when you're virtual. It's virtual and it's reality. So, Gord, again, thank you so very much. And now I would like to welcome Karen Bertrand to Art Sci 94 and Vice Principal Advancement. Wait, Gord's back. Okay.
I'm back. I'm so sorry.
Gord, I'm so thrilled.
I need a teenager here to help me through this.
Oh, listen, you have no idea. I married a CBC technician, and he's off for the morning doing something else here on Gabriola Island. And where's the Q&A tab? Anyway.
Oh, my apologies.
It's okay. The questions are coming through. I'm really, really glad you're here. Your appearance/debut on Saturday Night Live, introduced by Dan Aykroyd, was legendary. How did the Tragically Hip remain true to their roots even after hitting it big?
Well, it was really funny. It was one of those life-changing moments for sure. One would make the assumption, appearing on a show like that wow, we're off to the races here. That it's going to be a moment before I'm living next to Frank Sinatra in Bel Air or something. Right after that show, there was a lovely party afterwards. We packed up our van because we were playing in St. Louis the next day. So the classic rock and roll story where we drove all night to get to the gig. It was a different venue that we hadn't played before until we arrived, and we realized, wow, it's the same crummy venue that we've played 3 times before. We loaded our gear up 3 flights of stairs and played in front of about 100 people. And it was in fact, a very good shot of humility. That being able to face moments like that with your 5 best friends, I include Dave Powell in that, and pack up and move on, really helped us become, who we are. we were playing a lot in the States when we were coming up in Canada, and we learned really quickly how to play the hockey rinks like we were in a rock and roll club, and the rock and roll clubs like we were in a hockey rink, you know.
My condolences on Dave Powell as well, your road manager.
Thank you very much.
Great loss, I know.
Yeah.
All right, we're going back to the beginning on this question. How did you and the guys first come together as a band?
Well, we were all at the same high school in KCVI, which is in the shadows of Queens. And Rob and I were in grade 13, back in grade 13 days. Gord and Paul were in grade 11, a couple years behind us. John was in grade 9. It's funny, these days, everyone seems to be in a band when you're in high school in different form. But back then in KC, there were 2 bands. There was Rob's and my band, and then there was Gord's band. And there was a kind of a healthy rivalry as high schoolers. And then once we got to Queens, we started spending a lot of time with each other. Rob and I had always been very, very close. And we just slowly gravitated towards playing with each other. It was a time in music where there was lots of live music going on, but original music wasn't really allowed at the bars that we would play. So we would try to slip our own material into old Pretty Things songs and Rolling Stones songs and Yardbird songs and pretend that they were cover tunes. And that's how we learned how to write songs and learn how and it's really how we learned to love each other and love playing together.
Gord, thanks for joining me again. And just great good luck with your solo career, with your album, Taxi Dancers. And we all wish you all the best.
Well, thanks. I really, really appreciate it. And I do suggest everyone go and find A Way Is Mine that Gord and his family released yesterday. I listened to it again this morning, and it's wonderful to hear his voice.
You know, I've got a copy of Coke Machine Glow that I'm going to read later. I interviewed him about it filling in for Peter Zosky, and he walked in and said, "Oh no, it's the Weather Girl." That's another story. But yes, I used to do the weather at CKWS along with Barb, who went to KCVI. Yes. Anyway, great memories, and you've brought back so many great memories of the hip as well, and may you create many more.
Thank you, Sheila. I really appreciate it. Have a happy homecoming.
Great to see you. Thank you so much. So,
bye, everyone.
Bye, Gord. I think that's a kind of goosebumping moment for me, Rico. It's really, really great to have Gord with us. And you know where we're going next because I've already introduced her. Once again, please welcome Karen Bertrand, ArtSci 94 and Vice Principal of Advancement.
Sheila, thank you so much. And Sheila and Rico both, thank you sincerely for joining us today and joining us as co-hosts of our first virtual homecoming. It really has been an incredible afternoon, and we've really appreciated the tricolor spirit that you've both shown all the way through. I also want to express my thanks to Gord. I want to thank him for joining us this afternoon and for helping us honor the memory of Gord Downie. I've read that Gord Downie once said, "Music brings people closer together. So my function in anything I do is to help bring people closer in." So we thank Gord sincerely for joining us here at Queen's, thank him for sharing his music, and thank him for helping us bring our alumni closer in. I also want to thank all of the alumni that have joining us this afternoon and for supporting Queen's every day. Before we turn our attention to the next part of the program, I want to let you know that we have been listening to your feedback. And it's clear that you want to stay connected to Queen's in more ways than just homecoming. We've heard you. We've heard from hundreds of you who have provided input, ideas, and suggestions that have shaped the new plan for the Office of Advancement at Queen's. This feedback is going to shape the foundation of our relationship with alumni going forward. And through this, I hope that you will see yourselves reflected in all our future events and initiatives. So stay in touch and let us know how we're doing. This has been an incredible afternoon, but it's not over. I hope everyone will take part in the upcoming faculty sessions because there's an excellent lineup. Engineering is going to be hosting virtual. You can join medicine and try to stump the new dean. You could stop by the Faculty of Arts and Science session and hear from Nobel Prize winner Dr. Art McDonald. And there are many more options. So take a look at your menu on the left-hand side of your screen and make your choices. I plan to visit as many of these faculty sessions as I can over the next few hours and say hello to all of our alumni.
If you were on campus, you would be walking, you'd put in 10,000 steps really easily, Karen.
I would have sore feet by now, yes.
Then listen, thank you so very much for everything you do for the university as well. I have a feeling we might not be here today were it not for your department. So many, many thanks.
Well, I will pass that on to the team. There is an extraordinary number of both staff and volunteers from the alumni community who have really pulled this together and make today special, even if we can't be here in person.
Rico.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. It's great to work alongside you and the rest of your staff to make this event possible. And then thank you also to all of the alumni volunteers who help bring us together, in this case for homecoming, but then for the many other events that happen in your respective cities with chapters and others. So thank you, and it's great to be working alongside you. So I'd like to, we're coming to the end. I'd like to ask people to, on the chat, maybe highlight what was some of the favorite parts of the evening. I think it'd be great to then give a shout out to some of those. We still have a few quick wrap-ups, and then there's going to be some of the breakout sessions. Yes.
One last task, right?
Yeah, do you want to introduce us, Sheila?
Sure. You want to do it together? Okay, we can do this.
You can do it.
Okay, and that is to present
the award winner for
the Queen's Spirit Award. Yes.
There you go.
Got it.
And that is to, now you can say it.
That is to submit your photos showing your Queen's tricolor pride. Vice Principal Bertrand, would you like to announce the winner? Because clearly we want to do everything together.
I'd love to announce the winner. There was a lot of submissions to this particular competition, but I think you will all agree that this one is definitely the winner. So congratulations and thank you to Heather Perkins for this spirited tricolor photo. Your prize package is on the way.
It's an amazing photo. I love it. I have no idea how she got her dogs to behave and while going through that. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So thank you for joining us, Karen. We'll say goodbye to you now. So thank you again. And before we go and everyone heads off to their faculty and group sessions, I want to thank all of our guests who kept us entertained and informed this afternoon. And I want to thank the many people behind the scenes who helped pull this amazing event together.
And I know that includes you, Rico. So I want to say thank you to you and the QUAA and to say what a joy it has been to co-host with you. I hope we can do it again.
Yeah, the pleasure has been all mine, Sheila. So thank you.
Thanks, Rico. And thanks to all of you for not letting anything stop you from coming home to Queens. I think we'll all be able to look back on this afternoon as one of the moments that unites us. From all of us, be well, stay safe and healthy and happy. Bye for now.
Bye for now.